Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back to another What's Happening Now with CNI Solutions. I am your host, Brittany Fry, and I am unfortunately sorry to say that Mr. Fry is not here with me tonight. He is on his way back in, but believe he will be back ready and pumped next week. Also, in today's news with CNI Solutions, we are just getting amped up and ready for what our community events that we have coming up. When we get those out, we will let you know. Also, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to our page because you never know any of this information that we have tonight that someone you know may need it. Okay, for tonight we have our wonderful guest. We have Miss Whitney A Ford with disability. Oh, Lord Jesus, I'm so sorry. She got me so nervous, you guys, because she is just over here so beautiful and so put together.
Thank
Miss
you.
Whitney Ford today with World Spina Bifida Awareness and Hydrocephalus Day. And I am just so ecstatic to have you here, Miss Whitney.
Thank
Tell us a
you.
little bit about yourself, love.
So I'm Whitney, um, as she said, and I have spina bifida and hydrocephalus. I was born with it. For those who may not know, spina bifida is a birth defect that, in short, just happens in the first 20 days of a woman's pregnancy, where the spine is developing and it doesn't properly develop or connect, and it leaves an opening and results in a range of disability. It may be, you know, there's different types of spina bifida. My spina bifida is spina bifida myelomeningocele, and it affects my physical from being able to walk fully. I am blessed to be able to walk with for crutches. Um, and yeah, I'm just glad to be here and share with you guys.
Okay, Miss Whitney. Since you already took us into the spina bifida, I did read that there are many forms, and it is absolutely not rare to see that a lot of people do suffer from spina bifida and hydrocephalus.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit more, like how was it growing up with this type of disability?
It was an experience, I would say, for me. I was just speaking at an event I did for Help at No Discrepancy
Mm-hmm.
about my experience, just being that me personally, I didn't grow up, although spina bifida is not like, um, it's not as rare as I've experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't grow up around a lot of individuals with the same disability as myself, and not really many with the disability at all. Um, I grew up in a house of all able-bodied individuals
Mm-hmm.
who love me and are great individuals. However, there was a sense of just that area not being necessarily filled
Mm-hmm.
because
It felt different.
I felt different. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it just
Mm-hmm.
felt different. So I struggled with that, I would say, but I'm here. I made it.
Yeah, you did make it, and we're actually happy to have you here. So, tell us a little bit about how you advocate for uh, people with disabilities.
I advocate for people with disabilities with everything that I do. Just from that experience, I learned that that was needed. And another thing that I brought up, that I recently was talking to someone about, was in 2017, I was actually crowned Miss Wheelchair Alabama.
Okay, I didn't even
I
know that
ran, I was,
existed.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And that was one of the, if not the first times that I was just surrounded with just all other women that were like me.
Mm-hmm.
And even in that experience, I realized that everyone's, even though we may have the same thing going on, everybody's experience is their own.
Mm-hmm.
And it opened me up to different ways to advocate for that, from self esteem to how things are in the workforce for individuals who have disabilities, and it not just advocating for physical disabilities,
Mm-hmm.
but for all disabilities, because in the world that we live in, it's not the first thought to think of mental health and all the other aspects. When you think of disability, you
Absolutely.
tend to think of wheelchairs and
Mm-hmm.
crutches.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that feeling because I have MS.
Yeah.
So I have a disability, but when you see me, you don't see a disability.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see a person with multiple sclerosis. You just see somebody that's just, okay, it's a natural human being versus you, where they see you. Okay, we clearly see you have something going on that
Yeah.
makes you a disabled person.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So, for our people out here, if you guys don't know, and don't let Miss Whitney fool you in this chair, she is a woman of many hats. Okay. Miss Whitney is a speaker. She's a certified resume writer. She's a general editor and document prep. She's a communicative artist, which I definitely want to get into. What is the communicative artist? I'm coming back to that. She's a published author. She's a certified transitional mindset coach. Miss Whitney, how do you juggle so much?
um, One day at a time.
Okay.
um, like I mentioned before, that experience opened me up to the different ways that we need advocacy, and not just saying, telling people what it is, but um, even in the playing field. And how the something that said a lot, they say it's the black woman line of,
Mm-hmm.
to do something right, you got to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that we need, though there's laws and things in place, someone who's willing to really be there and
Get the hands
help us,
dirty.
yeah, get their hands dirty
Right. Yes,
with
ma'am.
all of these things that I do, from the certified um, transitional mind coaching to the resume writing to all of it.
Mm-hmm.
It I sometimes wonder if people look at it, it's like she's messy, but to me, it's like it all fits together.
Actually, you're absolutely right. It's your puzzle piece and it fits into
Yeah,
your puzzle, not somebody else's. I really
yeah.
feel that. Okay, so talk to me about this communicative artist. Like, what is communicative artistry? Like, what is it that you do with that?
So communicative artistry is just kind of the name that I gave it, because what it is graphic design.
Okay.
But the way that I see it is communicative artistry, just because, even from, again, going back to the stance of living with a disability, the ways you can communicate through colors and the proper wording of things,
Mm-hmm.
and all things graphic design, to me, it's an art of communicating. I do mostly flyers right
Mm-hmm.
now, but I can do logos, business cards, just graphic design.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so talk to me about this book that I am seeing right here in front of you. As a published author, you guys, the book already looks like it's going to be a great read. I see big words, but I see pictures as well, and I'm intrigued. So, Miss Whitney, tell me about this book.
So, Sister, How Are You was my first um, publication, and I wrote it actually during my reign before I went to the national pageant, where that's where I met all the other women. And it's actually poetry, and it this is kind of getting into the mental health side of not just physical.
Mm-hmm.
All the poetry in it is sort of, you could say, from, I wouldn't really call it a diary, but a notebook that I kept where I would write how I was feeling before I really had the language for it.
Okay.
Um, in 2019, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and clinical depression. But that was a few years ago. But a lot of these poems I wrote when I was a teenager, and just going through that. When I was telling you, I felt, different,
Mm-hmm.
and not really having the language to really say. It kind of helped me understand myself to be able to read back. I thought I published it again, knowing like if it's me, it's not. I'm not the only one.
Right.
And I titled it "Sister, How Are You?" because in all of that time, I realized that, I don't know, maybe like on the and getting coming into work,
Mm-hmm.
and just like, hey, how you doing, or whatever, and there's no sincerity in it. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
just like something to say.
Yeah. Just to get you in the
Somebody
door.
just, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
somebody just say, hey, how are you? I'm good, but while you answering the question, they already walking away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this is my way of just like taking the time to really inspire a woman to even ask herself, like, how am I really doing? And to know that somebody actually cares to hear how you're doing. Um, because in going through the early stages of before my diagnosis, it's not that I don't believe people care about me, but it's just that,
Mm-hmm.
like, if I tell them this,
You isolated yourself
yeah,
because you
and
didn't know whether they
yeah,
would be okay with it or accept it.
yeah,
Absolutely. I
yeah.
definitely
So
understand
this
that.
is just my my love letters to people who feel that.
Okay. Okay. Sister, how are you by
Whitney.
Whitney Ford? Okay, Whitney, tell us how we can find this book.
So Sister How Are You is on Amazon. Also, you can go to my website, whitneyaford.com, and it is available in the shop as well.
Okay, we have a question. Do you feel Breast Cancer Awareness Month overshadows Spina Bifida?
I wouldn't say um overshadows, because just like I was saying, there's different disabilities that need to be um advocated for.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it overshadows it. Um, there's just not enough days or months in the year really to just get everything out the way our hearts will probably desire to,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why it's just important to speak on them all, really.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say I feel like it overshadows it. I think they're equally important. So
Okay. And as an entrepreneur, what have you found to be the most difficult for you?
um, I wouldn't even name a thing like for that's physical. I
Mm-hmm.
would say I say to myself a lot like, you having the nerve to be out here doing all of this with anxiety and um living with what you're living with, not even mobile, girl. But um, I wouldn't change anything, and those things will eventually change. So,
You
but
kind of
those are difficult for me.
so you talk yourself down, but pep yourself up at the same time. You can be your own
Yeah,
worst enemy.
yeah, I definitely can.
Absolutely, I feel that way too. I got you. Can spina bifida hit a person at any time in life, or do you have to be born with it? It is the actual birth defect.
Yes,
Like you said, from birth in the first 28 days
yes. The first 28 days actually in the womb.
in the womb. Okay, first 28 days of conception.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and explain that. I don't think they caught that one at the beginning, Miss Whitney.
So in the womb, you know, just in simplest terms, when you're developing, when the spine is developing with spina bifida, it doesn't fully develop or close all the way, and that results in physical. Sometimes, because the hydrocephalus and the spina bifida actually can connect. That now,
Mm-hmm.
spina bifida isn't the only way you can be living with reason that you could be living with hydrocephalus, but
Mm-hmm.
my hydrocephalus is a result of my spina bifida. I don't know if you want me to explain what hydrocephalus is as well.
You may have to, because we might get that question. So let's go ahead and throw that out there. What is hydrocephalus for our viewers?
Hydrocephalus um, is basically water on the brain. Access. There's this term for it, but water,
Mm-hmm.
in
Excess
the brain,
fluid. Mm-hmm.
can cause basically like a swelling. I actually have an artificial shunt, artificial BP shunt. There's a term for that,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it's long and I don't know how to pronounce
We're not gonna
it.
make you do that one
and
because we're not gonna try it either.
and that keeps that from wearing on me too much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I do have horrible migraines every now and then, and it can, I don't know, for me it resulted in a little bit of, like, I get a lot of brain fog.
Mm-hmm.
I get like with intaking information, if it gets long, I can get lost really easy.
Okay.
So I've had the placement of my shunt when I was the day after I was born, actually,
Mm-hmm.
and then another time when I was, I think, about one, and then the last time was in the 8th grade. So
Okay.
I've been pretty fortunate to not have as many shunt revisions as much as other.
Other people would have. Okay,
Yeah,
that's still a blessing because, again, Miss Whitney, tell our viewers how old you are with spina bifida and hydrocephalus.
I am 29 years old.
29. You guys, our viewers, that is a blessing to be living with a disability of this sort for 29 years. Okay, Miss Whitney, another question. With so many hats that you have on, do you consider yourself disabled as outgoing and professional you are as a businesswoman?
I don't quite understand the question.
Okay. Do you consider yourself disabled as outgoing and professional or as a businesswoman?
All
I don't
three.
all three. She disabled, outgoing, professional, and a businesswoman.
Um, I can be outgoing. I'm not always outgoing,
Okay.
but I can be. Um, that's one of the things that I would say have been something I struggled with as well, going back to probably growing up, because I really just came into and settled with this as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not a um I'm not a loud person. I'm very just
Soft
I'm
spoken.
soft
You
spoken,
absolutely
and
are.
I don't talk much unless I talk when I have something to say. And
So how does that work as a speaker, Miss Whitney? You have something
um
to say when you get there.
I mean, well, as far as speaking, I have something to say. But I mean, as far as just in a group setting or
Mhm.
what when first being met,
Mhm.
you tend to get prejudged as like, especially because for some, a quiet spirit plus this chair
Mhm.
equals, something that it's not.
Right.
And that's been something that I've had to push against several times from
Being
being
misjudged.
from being misjudged. Yes,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and I used to think that I needed to change that, but it's not I that need to change.
Absolutely. It's not you that needs to
That's who I
change.
am. I'm not.
You are you, right? You
Yeah.
can't change just who you were made to be.
Yes.
It's the eyes of other people that need to look at the world a little differently.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's why you're here to help those who can't see what we see as disabled people, what other people see when they look into the community of disabled and don't see, needy, oh, they need this or that. We are actually stronger people than we have to be because of a disability.
Yes.
We have to walk a little differently from someone without a disability because of the fact that we have that on our shoulders. I absolutely
Yes.
understand that one. Um, Another question is, do you have anything to help with getting jobs?
Yes. Of course, my certified professional resume writing. What I wanted to get into today, actually, why I reached out
Mhm.
is October is Spina Bifida Awareness Month and Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it's also Disability Employment Month.
Okay.
And myself and a really good friend of mine, Tiffany Johnson,
Mhm.
she she's the CEO of a organization called Uniquely Made, and she actually lives with cerebral palsy. She and I teaming up every year in honor of Disability Employment Month under what we call DIM with Tiff and Wit. He has an employment guide,
Mhm.
just going over and into interview prep, um, just ways to conduct yourself, how to find what it is that you want to do, and just a host of things. And offering my certified professional resume writing packages, as well as I do have templates
Mhm.
on my website for 25% off for individuals living with disabilities. So if you go to whitneyaford.com, or actually, I don't know if the person asking the question is someone who follows me on Instagram or anything like that, but there's direct link to the offer on my link tree.
Okay. Look into that camera right there, Miss Whitney, and let them know that Instagram and that website one more
My
time.
Instagram is Whitney A Ford _ and my website is whitneyaford.com. So you can go there to find all of my resume writing packages. You can go there to find the templates. However, if you go to my Instagram and you're an individual living with a disability and you want to take advantage of the Dim with Tip and Wit offer, which is 25% off on all those services, you want to go to my link tree and click Dim with Tip and Wit offer, which will take you to the um, the sale.
Okay, Miss um, Whitney. A good question for you. What is a good inspiration for you? What got you to this point, and what is helping you continue to keep pushing and motivate?
God,
Okay.
definitely God. First and foremost, when I went through a lot of that, not even knowing what I was feeling, but just didn't feel um, just felt different, like we were saying. Um, if if my parents or one of my sisters are watching, they know I used to lock myself in my room, and I wouldn't be like in there doing anything, like stopping anything. I would be praying, and I would be asking God, like, just questions,
Mm-hmm.
And that's why another thing that I like to advocate for, and I like to always tell people every chance that I get that because you hear a lot, don't don't ask God any questions. And why? Um, without even, getting into any scripture,
Mm-hmm.
a simple way for me to help a person understand why there's nothing wrong with asking God a question is just like your parent. Um, if you say, Mama, why can't I have this? She'll probably just say, because, I'm not done cooking. You can't have sweets. But if you say, Mama, I want this, then it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say there's nothing wrong with asking God. Just just ask it waiting on the answer, ask it sincerely. But we we forfeit a lot by not asking him questions. And I don't like that that's out there. But I'm gonna get off of that because I can go.
Hey, I was over here. You was about to get me there because okay. So a good book that you can read that helps you get back in focus or helps you, one of those books that you can go, oh, this book right here is one of those books that I can actually, and you used with some of the stuff that you're out with your speaking, with your coaching, your mentoring and things of that nature.
A book that inspires me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a couple of different, not even like just in that discovering different things that I saw myself in. But the first thing that just came to mind while you were speaking was Tuesdays with Morty.
Okay.
I forget who that's by, but that book, even though he didn't live with what I live with, just him sharing how he coped gave me ways to cope. Just
Okay.
like something I think about a lot that he said in that book was he gives himself 5 minutes in the morning to just cry or feel sorry for himself. But after that, hey, I gotta
I gotta get up.
I gotta get up and I
Okay.
gotta keep going.
I'm ready. I like this. I like that. That is a great thing. So before we go, Miss Whitney, um, anything you want to say to our viewers, any inspiration you want to give to those with any disabilities, um, anything, look into that camera and let our viewers know.
Um, for anyone who is living with any disabilities of any kind, I would encourage you to take that time. Like I've been saying here talking with Brittany, it's been a spectrum. It's been a developing thing for me to come into who I am. And it's always going to be developing. I haven't arrived, but allow yourself that. We are, it, one thing that I have struggled with is, me, I don't like people, it's not that I don't feel the strength of being a person that's living with a disability and have that pride of, yes, I am pushing through, but you either get that stigma of like, that's all you are, or you're only the other side. And it's okay to give yourself that space to be all of them and not just the one where you feel like you're getting stuck into. Um, Also, we didn't talk about it, but I do have an ebook that is called The Art of Pivoting, and the subtitle is Navigating Through Life's Challenges, where I talk about more of just my experience, the development of my journey with my mental health, and if you would like to be encouraged by that book, that is available on my website at whitneyaford.com as well, and it's only $10.
Okay, you guys, take a look at Miss Ford.com. Support, support, support. Miss Whitney has a beautiful spirit and she is so humble and she carries herself as if
Thank you.
this wheelchair is not rolling her around, but she's rolling it around, okay? Our theme for World Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Day is accessibility for all. We want to raise the awareness and understand that birth defects affect the spine and the brain, and is also the day to be an advocate and promote the rights of those living with these conditions. Also, remember with CNI Solutions, your today is not your yesterday, and your yesterday is, I can't even get it together. She got me. Your yesterday is not your today. Your today is not your tomorrow. Thank you and have a wonderful night.